Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before starting the video, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button and give this video a like up. Today on The Young and the Restless, Nikki remembers the past at the ranch. Victoria, Nicholas, Adam, Claire, Abby, and Devin tour the new/old ranch, and Adam receives an invitation. All products and services featured are independently chosen by editors. However, Soaps.com may receive a commission on orders placed through its retail links, and the retailer may receive certain auditable data for accounting purposes. At the restored ranch, Nikki's jaw drops as she takes it all in. Victor welcomes her to their new home. Nikki is still speechless and starts crying. What have you done? Victor has already wanted to rebuild what they lost. Nikki gasps, "Oh, Victor. He wanted it to be more beautiful than the original." Nikki tells him it's just stunning. Victor thought they needed something after this last year, with the whole Jordan saga and her alcoholism. Nikki confesses she's missed their first house every day. She tried to move on, but she was never able to get it out of her heart. She flashes to walking in the ruins of it and saying she can't believe it's gone. She tells Victor, "You recreated what we lost." She loves it. After taking in the upstairs, Nikki tells Victor it's beautiful and on an even better part of the property than the other. She can't believe the time and effort he put into this, and asks how he pulled it off without her knowing. Victor chuckles. She remembers the trucks that were there, and he told her they were fixing erosion from the stream. Nikki declares it a perfect blend of the past and present. That was Victor's intention. She feels like she stepped back in time. She remembers the very first time she came to the ranch and teases, "You were hatching plans from the very beginning." They walk around the living room and then sit down. Victor has bubbly and toasts to new beginnings. Nikki asks how she will ever top this gift. Victor loves to spoil her, and always has. She muses from the very beginning. She flashes to Victor asking her to move into his ranch with him, so she can learn French more quickly. Nikki next remembers the first time that she and Victor were intimate. She sighs, "The way that I was raised, I never would have thought that I would live in a house like this." Victor never did either. They had tough childhoods, but they persevered. And here we are. Nikki says everything that happened in that house is coming back to her. She recalls planning their wedding and Victor telling her he loved her for the first time. Flashing back, she remembers sharing a toast after they were married and saying it was forever. They agree they've had quite the life. Nikki marvels that so much of the new home reminds her of the original ranch. Victor couldn't salvage everything because some was lost in the fire. Nikki muses that they lost some things before the fire too, like vases and glasses. "We did have our fair share of conflicts." She flashes to confronting Victor about his affair with Ashley Abbott, and to him confronting her about her drinking problem. She recalls taking her bags and moving out, and muses, "Things could get pretty ugly." They marvel that they recovered. Any argument they had, they were able to find their way back to each other. She flashes to defying him when he ordered her to leave because he couldn't perform in bed. Nikki then remembers sitting with Victor in front of the fireplace on New Year's Eve. Finally, she recalls them reuniting at the ranch and him telling her, "This is where they belong." Nikki says, "Thank goodness we made our way through. Look at the life we've had." Victor tells her they'll make new memories together and with their family. Nikki is admiring the piano when a knock comes at the door. Victor walks over to open it and Victoria and Claire come in. Victoria gasps, "This house. Am I seeing things?" Claire asks, "What is this place?" Nick trails in, and he and Victoria marvel that this looks like the original ranch house. Victor will explain once everyone's there. Abby and Devin walk through the door. Victor says he had the old ranch rebuilt. "For your mother. For Nikki. He did this for her, and for all of them." Nikki says he did an amazing job. Nick tells his dad, "Well done," and Victoria says it brings back so many memories. Adam arrives and is stunned to realize his father rebuilt the original ranch. Victor has something else to say. "Abby and Devin, I promised you a special venue. This is it." They gawp, and Abby runs over to hug Mickey and her dad. "I can't believe it." "Thank you." Abby can't believe the first occasion in the new house will be their wedding. Nikki assures Abby she's fine with it. Devin shakes Victor's hand, and the two go off to an alcove by the windows to talk. Victor knows Devin is still upset about Lily, so let's talk about it. Devin is frustrated with the situation, but promised to set his feelings aside until after the wedding. Victor insists he had Lily's best interests at heart. She should be a Winters. Devin agrees, but that should be her decision. Victor honestly thinks this will turn out well for Lily. In the living room, Victoria tells Claire about the original ranch where she and Nick grew up. Claire thinks it's romantic that Victor rebuilt it for her grandmother. Nikki says he's always had a knack for grand romantic gestures. She flashes to some romantic moments in the past. Claire thinks it all sounds so magical. They look forward to more fun times as a family, and Victoria hugs Nikki. Devin stands in the foyer looking at his phone. Abby walks over to ask what her dad wanted. Devin says he wanted to talk about Lily. He didn't want to get into it. Abby will talk to her dad about his behavior after the wedding. She enthuses about having a wedding venue and asks if he's okay with getting married there. Devin would marry her anywhere and thinks it's perfect. Abby cannot wait to marry him. They kiss. In the alcove by the windows, Victoria tells Victor he did an incredible job. When she walks off, Nick appears and tells her, "This feels like he's home." Victor says, "You are. You all are." Nick asks what will happen to the place where they live now. Victor offers it to his son. Nick says he and Christian are happy where they live. Adam joins them and tells him the place is spectacular. Nick tells his brother that their dad was just saying he wants more family on the ranch. There's a beautiful house up for grabs. He tells Adam he should take it. Adam's not sure their dad would approve of that. Victor doesn't think it's a bad idea. The question is, would he like to be that close to his old man? Adam will give it some thought. Everyone gathers in the living room as Nikki and Victor's children say goodbye. Victoria's sure Abby and Devin's wedding will be spectacular. Abby and Devin leave, followed by Adam. Victor asks him to think about moving on to the ranch. Adam promises to give it some serious thought. After he's gone, Nick thanks Victor for giving the ranch back to them. Victor will do anything for family. Now the next generation can enjoy it as well. Nick, Victoria, and Claire head out after hugs and kisses. Nikki and Victor sit down. Nikki says Victoria and Nicholas were so touched. It made her think about when they were children. So much time has passed. Victor muses. So much time has passed. You're as beautiful as you were when I met you. Nikki tells him he's made her happier than she's been in a long time. Victor kisses her and she leans her head on his shoulder. She says, "You didn't just give me a house. You gave me a piece of our life. A piece of my heart." Victor says, "You know, baby, I really don't care where we live as long as you're by my side." They kiss. It had been over a decade since Nikki and Victor had last stood on the weathered front porch of the old ranch house. Time had moved in ways that felt both gentle and cruel, carving new lines into their lives while leaving the ranch house as a stubborn relic of their shared past. When the invitation came, a reunion of sorts, neither had hesitated for long. There was something about the place, something about the air, that made it feel like they never really left. The old house stood at the edge of a small valley, its wooden frame bleached by years of sun and wind. The paint had long since peeled, the roof sagged slightly in places, and the barn in the back had collapsed under its own weight years ago. Still, there was a quiet dignity about it, as if the house knew something they didn't. It had seen too much, held too many secrets, to be just a ruin. For Nikki and Victor, the house held memories that were vivid and haunting, like a photograph you can never quite shake from your mind, no matter how far you've gone from it. Victor was the first to step onto the porch, his boots creaking against the old wood as he paused, letting the moment settle around him. The air was thick with the scent of sagebrush and dust, the land stretching out in all directions, as endless as the sky. He took in the familiar landscape, eyes squinting against the setting sun. This place had been a backdrop to their lives for so long. Even when they were miles away, their hearts always seemed to beat in rhythm with its silent pulse. "Just like I remember," he said, almost to himself. His voice was rough with years, but there was a tenderness to it as well. Nikki stepped up beside him, her presence steady and unwavering, just like it always had been. The years had changed her too. There were silver threads in her hair now, and the softness of youth had hardened into something sharper, more defined. But those same eyes, the ones that had always been able to see right through him, still held that unmistakable spark. It was the same look she had given him back then. The same gaze that had seen the world both for what it was and what it could be. "It hasn't changed much," she agreed, her voice steady but tinged with nostalgia. "Doesn't look like it's seen much love either." Victor chuckled softly. his hand slipping into the pockets of his worn leather jacket. "You know how I feel about it. A house isn't just bricks and boards. It's the people who fill it." Nikki nodded, her eyes drifting over the familiar contours of the land. A part of her had always known that Victor's words were true. The ranch, like everything they had shared, wasn't defined by the physicality of the world around them. It was what they had made of it. A place where love and loss danced in tandem, where the laughter of children echoed in the hallways, and where whispered secrets and passionate arguments had colored the walls in shades of both joy and sorrow. "Remember the first time we came here?" Nikki asked, her voice carrying a thread of amusement. "I was so sure I'd get lost in those fields. I didn't know what to make of this place. You were so sure of it though, so certain that this was where we were meant to be." Victor's smile softened, the years between them folding away like pages of a book they had long since put down, but never quite forgotten. "I always thought this place had something special," he said. "Something it could give us. You had your doubts at first, but you came around." Nikki gave a small laugh, the sound light and airy, though there was an undercurrent of something deeper there. "I didn't come around. I just learned to see things your way. But I was right about the one thing. The fields." She gestured to the tall grass swaying in the breeze. "I did get lost in them. It was you who found me." Victor grinned. "That's because I knew you wouldn't stay lost for long." His eyes softened as he looked out over the land, remembering the girl he had once been and the woman who stood beside him now. Their time at the ranch hadn't been without its challenges. In the early days, they had struggled to make the place thrive. The land wasn't easy. It was rugged, unforgiving. But there was something about the rhythm of the work that had always felt natural to them. It wasn't just about planting seeds or mending fences. It was about building something that would outlast them, something they could call their own. And in the process, they had built a life. A moment of silence fell between them, and Nikki found herself stepping closer to the old front door, her hand reaching out to rest on the peeling paint. The house felt cold, distant now, as if it had grown tired of waiting for them. For a moment, she hesitated, wondering if the house, like so many of their memories, was still willing to welcome them in. "Do you ever regret it?" she asked, her voice soft but charged with meaning. Victor stood still for a long moment, his gaze drifting to the horizon. The question had been lingering between them for years, unspoken but felt in the spaces where the words should have gone. Regret, was that even the right word? Had they made the wrong choice in the end? "I regret we didn't have more time," he said finally, his voice thick with the weight of everything left unsaid. "But no, I don't regret the life we built. Not here. Not with you." Nikki nodded slowly, a lump forming in her throat. Her heart ached in a way she couldn't quite explain, a longing that seemed to belong to another time and place. She had loved Victor deeply once, perhaps more than anyone had the right to. But love had a way of evolving, changing, sometimes even fading. The ranch, this house, had seen it all. Their passion, their growth, their distance. The walls could have told the story if they had been able to speak. Victor reached out then, his hand gently resting on her shoulder. It was a simple gesture, but it carried a weight of familiarity and care. "Come on," he said, nodding toward the door. "Let's go inside, for old time's sake." And so they entered the old ranch house, their footsteps echoing on the wooden floors that had once felt so alive beneath their feet. There was something sacred about returning, something both painful and beautiful, as though they were reclaiming pieces of a past that had never truly left them. As the door creaked shut behind them, they knew that, though time had carried them away, the house would always remember who they were. And maybe, just maybe, they would remember each other too.